One of the most mysterious characters in One Piece, we can all agree, is Im-sama, Nefertari D. Lily. Since she was introduced in Chapter 906, we've been eager to find out who or what her true appearance really is. So far, the only thing that has been revealed about Imu's appearance is her eyes. Eyes that have already sparked thousands of theories about what their relevance is to her character. Based on these theories, people try to connect Imu's eyes to Dracule Mihawk because, yes, their eye design is indeed similar. But unknown to many of you, it's not just the two of them who have this kind of eye in the entire One Piece series, or actually there are many of them. That's why I gathered exactly who the characters are that have this kind of eye. And in this video, we're going to discover what their connection is with one another. The characters that have similar eyes to Im-sama are Cavendish, Big Mom, Nico Robin, and of course, Mihawk. Let's start by talking about Cavendish. Naturally, Cavendish doesn't really have those kinds of eyes. His eyes are just normal, like all characters in One Piece. They only turn like that once his alter ego, Hakuba, is activated, and when he controls it, because we all know that Hakuba's eyes are just white, once he controls it, his eyes turn similar to Imu's. Next is Big Mom. Just like with Cavendish, Big Mom doesn't naturally have eyes like that. They're normal too, but her eyes turn similar to Imu's once she uses her devil fruit, the soul fruit. Similar to Big Mom and Cavendish, this also happens with Nico Robin. Her eyes also change once she transforms into her demon form. We saw that during her fight with Black Maria. And lastly, Mihawk. So far in the story of One Piece, Mihawk is the only one who naturally has the same kind of eyes as Imu. That's really how his eyes are designed. Unlike the three characters I mentioned earlier whose eyes only change when they use their powers, Mihawk's eyes are naturally like that. So speaking of the three characters I mentioned, what do you think is their common denominator to connect them to Mihawk? Yes, all of their abilities are related to death or the afterlife. Big Mom literally takes or uses souls, and we know that souls are related to the afterlife. Robin, who transforms into a demon, has a transformation that is also related to the afterlife, since she becomes a demon. And Cavendish, who has an alter ego, is believed to have that alter ego as a soul from the afterlife. So those three with the changing eyes are related to the afterlife. Now let's connect that to Mihawk. What could be Mihawk's connection to the afterlife? I think the answer lies in Mihawk's sword, Yoru. Based on Mihawk's character design, I think we can agree that his design is similar to those from countries like Spain, France, or Romania. That's really the vibe of Mihawk's character. And based on statistics, Catholicism is the main religion in these countries. We can also see that in Mihawk himself. He literally has a cross pendant. And Catholics believe that the symbol of the cross represents resurrection or the death and rebirth of Christ. Isn't this the secret of Mihawk as to how he was able to turn his sword Yoru into a black blade? Could it be that at some point he died and was brought back to life? Is that the reason why his eyes are naturally like that? And is this also the reason why his sword became a black blade? Yes, if you listen to it, it sounds impossible that Mihawk died and was revived. But Mihawk's name itself is strong evidence for this. Dracule Mihawk. Obviously, Oda got this name from Dracula, and we know the story of Dracula. Yeah, he died and was revived. If you're still not convinced that Mihawk's death and resurrection are the reasons behind his eyes and his black blade, just look at what happened to Zoro during the Wano Arc. After Zoro defeated King, someone appeared to him, and yes, it really looked like the Grim Reaper, the one who fetches the souls of the dead. Although Oda didn't reveal the aftermath of that event, I suspect this was a hint from Oda. He's hinting that just like Mihawk, who died and came back to life, the same will happen to Zoro. He too will die at some point and be revived. So I think Mihawk foresaw that this would happen to Zoro, and that's the only way he can be defeated. That's why Mihawk cut Zoro's eye. Why? So that once the moment comes when Zoro dies, that eye would be the one to gain the same kind of power as Mihawk's. If you notice, guys, there are only two swords in the series of One Piece that we know are permanently black blades. That's Mihawk's Yoru and Ryuma's Shusyui. But during the Wano arc, Oda keeps hiding Ryuma's eyes Isn't it suspicious why he's hiding them? Is the reason because Ryuma's eyes were also similar to Mihawk's? Another piece of evidence for these eyes is Ganku. The first time we saw Ganku's character, the most noticeable thing about her were her eyes. They were mismatched. Now, in Chapter 1147, after Ganku showed the group of Lanami her regeneration ability, there was a comment made by Yusuf that was really suspicious, and that was when he mentioned that Ganku is a zombie lady. Yes, we all know that Yusuf was just joking, but we've seen many times that Yusuf's jokes often come true later on. Could it be that Yusuf was right? That Ganku is really a zombie? We know that zombies are those who died and came back to life. Could that be the hint as to why her eyes are like that? Is that also the reason why Brook knows her? We all know that Brook literally died, but because of his devil fruit, he was given a second life. Could it be that we're wrong in assuming that Brook met Ganku during his early days? Maybe he actually met Ganku in the afterlife during the time he was dead. Anyway, now let's move on to Im-sama. Just like Mihawk, could it be that she died and came back to life? That's why her eyes are like that too. Could that also be the case for Imu's character, that she originally died and was only brought back to life? If you think about it, it's highly possible, because technically she's the one who gives life to the Gorosei. That's also why she can take it away. And based on the abilities of the Gorosei, like the black circle stars, they also have a connection to devils in the afterlife. We saw that during Brook's journey in the time skip. These black circle stars, the island Brook ended up on, Makura Island, was heavily related to demons and the afterlife. So in summary, Big Mom, Cavendish, and Robin have this kind of eye similar to Emu once they use abilities related to the devil and afterlife. Mihawk, we suspect, died and came back to life. Our evidence for that is his name, Dracule, derived from Dracula, and his sword, Yoru. Basically, Mihawk's death is the key reason his sword became a black blade. A similar moment is expected to happen to Zoro. He too will die and come back to life. This may have happened already during the Wano Arc when he saw the Reaper, or it could still happen in the future. Imu, just like Mihawk, also died and was brought back to life. That's the reason why only the two of them, Imu and Mihawk, have this kind of eye design in the entire One Piece series. Anyway, that's the topic about the unique eye designs of Emu and Miho. If you like this topic, don't forget to hit that like button, because your like is a big help to the channel. So that's all, Zeke. Peace.